All right, Heath, let's talk a little U.S. Open Cup because my Sporting Kansas City, who I had the chance, I was in Minneapolis, saw them play against Minnesota United. It was a 1-1 draw. Then I saw them lose against LAFC 2-0. I don't know if I'm jinxing these guys right now or what, but I will be in Sacramento for the game against the Sac Republic. Sac Republic are the only non-MLS team left in this competition, and they've got some work to do. However, they have taken a couple MLS scalps along the way. It looks like Hollywood Heath Pearce has dropped off, so it's just me right now, everybody. So keep those questions coming for me in the comments. But this Sacramento team, for everybody that doesn't know, was on the precipice or got named as the next MLS team to join the market. Their investor pulled out, decided to go invest in NWSL in San Diego, and is now the owner of the San Diego Wave. But he left Sacramento high and dry, and MLS has since backed out of giving Sacramento that MLS spot, and it looks like it might go to Las Vegas instead. Sacramento's got a massive chip on their shoulder, and we had their team president, Todd Dunavant, and one of my former teammates with the national team, and Heath as well. Welcome back, Heath.
Thank you.
On the show to talk about it a little bit. They're playing at home, and Sac Republic are going to have a rabid crowd, and I'm looking forward to getting into that environment. Sporting Kansas City for this first semifinal, then we'll get into Orlando City taking on the New York Red Bulls. Sporting Kansas City are the worst team in MLS. They've only won 5 out of 23 games, which is unacceptable for a team that's coached by Peter Vermes. And given the type of talent that they do have, and I know they've had some significant injuries to Alan Pulido, their DP number 9, the Mexican international, being the most significant. They've had a really tough time scoring goals. In some weird way, I kind of give Sac Republic, who actually haven't won a game since June and haven't scored in their last 2 games, a little bit of the edge because of the intangibles, because they're hosting this game. Had this game been in Kansas City, who came off beating Union Omaha, who's a 3rd division team, 6-0 coming into this one, I actually give Sac Republic a little bit of the edge, and I'm sure Todd would prefer if we called them the underdogs here, Heath. But
yeah,
Sporting have just not been playing that well, and I think they're just not very dynamic in attack. And what I'll say very quickly about Kansas City is that the games that I've watched, if you're not that dynamic in attack and you're not creating meaningful chances, or when you do, you miss them, and you're not taking them, it forces your team to have to be perfect defensively. And Kansas City isn't good enough to be perfect defensively, and that's shown throughout the season.
Yeah, I fully agree. And it's just a form thing, right? And like we talked about when Todd was on, or after he had gotten off on that last episode, that it's really easy to create the storyline from like a romanticism standpoint of like, this is the turnaround moment for SKC. But when you've compounded loss after loss and you're coming off another loss to at home against LAFC, it's really hard to just flip that switch on. And very rarely is it the switch. Sometimes you see it, like take LAFC for an example. You sort of come up with that romantic storyline with them because of the star power that they had last year. They missed out on the playoffs, but you're always just like, this could be the game. They've got one less game. They need to win out. This is the team that's capable of flipping that switch and winning out to make the playoffs. They ultimately didn't do that, but that's where you use those storylines. I think with SKC, it's Sporting Kansas City, it's a little bit harder. And then you take that momentum that Sacramento have. And yes, Sacramento haven't been fantastic in the league as well. They are still going to be a sellout crowd. They are making history. They're trying to build their history despite the setbacks of what they've had from an ownership group of not having the financial backing to be able to get into Major League Soccer. I remember being at the MLS office actually the day Sacramento went there, and they had fans outside of the office. So they announced this team and talked about this team being one that could be the next MLS team, and then having these setbacks. If you're a player within that, you're comfortable playing in USL. Yes, you want to be one of the USL giants like they are, but you also want your exposure to go beyond that. And I think this is a huge opportunity when you mix the quality of staff, the quality of players that they have, the momentum that they have, the occasion in itself that it's a sellout crowd in Sacramento. I think it's going to be really tough for Sporting Kansas City to go there, flip that switch, the proverbial switch, and get a result. I think Sacramento win this one for sure.
Okay, I like that. I think that I'll give Sacramento the edge. I don't know if they're going to do it in 90 minutes, if it's going to take them extra time, or if it's going to be penalties, but I think that Sacramento are just going to make the plays that are necessary. And I say that because Sacramento are coming off beating the LA Galaxy on the road. That was their first game away from home in the competition, and they went down to a tough place. And I think the Galaxy were going for it. They were trying to win that game, and Sac Republic just made the plays that made the difference, and I think that's going to give them a lot of confidence coming into this. Now, Sacramento are also the first non-MLS team to make the semifinals since FC Cincinnati did it when they were in the USL in 2017. Also, if Sac Republic do get to the final, they'll be the first non-MLS team to be in the final since 2008. That would be very significant for a team that I think is pissed that they didn't get this MLS thing. They want to prove that they can hang with the big boys, and this is going to be the best competition to make that happen. Also, if you don't know, if you win the U.S. Open Cup, you get an automatic berth into the CONCACAF Champions League, and I think that's something to take note of. On Sporting Kansas City's thing, I know we talked a little bit more heavy on Sac Republic, but their season's done. I mean, they're not making the playoffs. So this is kind of a now or never. They have the same type of desperation in some ways as Sacramento, because this is their best chance to get a CONCACAF Champions League spot, to feel good about some part of their season. And if they win this game and then go on to win the final, they'll be the first MLS team in Open Cup history to win 5 trophies. And I'm sure that Peter Vermes and the club and the players, that's what they're talking about, and that's what they're aiming for, to try to get something to salvage this part of the season. So it's just going to be a great game. I'm going to be there. Heath, you should come up there with me, because you're not too far from Modesto.
Well, I was planning on going, but it turns out, like, where my parents live, which is about 2 hours from Sacramento up in the mountains, there's fires right now, and so the air quality is really bad. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get up there and stay. And bring the kids with me. We were planning on being up there for the week, and you guys would have seen my dad's beautiful backdrop of books would have been my backdrop, but it looks like it may not happen, which is unfortunate. But you'll have to. I mean, I'll be following along, obviously watching the game, but also on your socials, Jimmy. So I can't wait to see the atmosphere that they bring to this game.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to get there early and have some fun social media as well. But just to be there will be good. So yeah, make sure you follow me on social at Jimmy Conrad on most platforms. Now on the other semifinals, Orlando City taking on the New York Red Bulls. Red Bulls are coming off a pretty significant win in Austin FC, where they played a lot of the young players, and we're up 4-1 at one point. Now, Andrew Tarble, the backup goalkeeper, because Brad Stuver has COVID, didn't shower himself with glory after letting a ball go through his hands to kind of give this young team some confidence that they could run with this Austin FC team. But they were all over him from the start. It was a really impressive performance. It ended up 4-3, so fair play to Austin for kind of making it a game there at the end. But the Red Bulls were fantastic, and that the future of that club is very bright. And I'm excited about that. But we'll spend some time on the Red Bulls on a later show. But they're coming in with confidence, and I think that's going to be good. Orlando City, on the flip side, just lost to the Philadelphia Union 1-0 at home, and they're having trouble scoring goals. They have scored less goals than they have played games in MLS, and it's just not. They're another team that I think isn't very dynamic or doesn't have that unpredictability in their attack that I think puts fear into other teams. And I think if the Red Bulls, who, I mean, they just press, and they were so tired at the end of that Austin FC game that Austin FC scored 2 goals in the last 15 minutes. And I think it kind of showed that they got to figure out a way. They can't go 100 miles an hour all the time. And that's where that maturity and evolution, not only of the coaching staff, but of the players, of when to go and when to stay. Some of the hardest things to teach, both individually and collectively as a coach. But I like the Red Bulls in this one. I know that they're going to be up for it. Neither one of these clubs has ever won the Open Cup trophy before. So you can see there's going to be hunger. One of them is going to get to the final. And so I like the Red Bulls. I just don't know. Orlando has found some magic in the cup, and it's a one-off competition, so I don't want to count them out. And I am a big fan of their coach, Oscar Perea. But there's just something about this Red Bulls team that I like, and I think that they're going to make more plays than Orlando will.
Yeah, the question is which Orlando is going to show up. If you look at their sort of form guide throughout the year, it's kind of like, and again, this is a competition. It's different than the league, but it's kind of like loss, tie, win, loss, tie, win, loss. You know, it's kind of this kind of pulsing heartbeat of ups and downs that we haven't really seen. When Orlando's good, they can be very good, but they haven't been able to find that consistently. And I think that's the mark of, especially Major League Soccer, a mark of a good team. Ones that, and they still have time into the end of the year where you kind of want to hit that stride going into the playoffs anyway, if you're heading that direction. But they haven't really found that, like, 2 wins in a row, 3 wins in a row, 4 wins, or unbeaten in 4 or 5. And they're heading into this game against a Red Bull side that are hungry and have a style of play that's difficult to play against. And if you're not in good form and know how to break that down, or you have that foundation of your team that's trusted and relied upon, I think this plays very much into Red Bull's hands, even though it is in Orlando, correct? I believe this game's in Orlando.
Yeah, it is. It's in Orlando. Orlando's hosted every single game so far in their Open Cup run, so they haven't played away. But I do want to say the Red Bulls have been very good in MLS in particular. They've won 8 games away from home in MLS, so I think that speaks to it. Also, I should mention the Red Bulls did get to the final of the Open Cup in 2017, where they lost to Kansas City 2-1. There's only 2 holdovers from that New York Red Bulls team in 2017 that continue to play now, which is Aaron Long, who's the captain of the Red Bulls, and backup goalkeeper Ryan Mira. So those two in particular are probably looking for a little bit of redemption. They're going to have some work to do because Alexander Pato has been good. If he's on, then he can do things by himself. And then you have Gayesi in goal for Orlando, who was the hero against Nashville SC in the previous round. He stepped up in penalties as well. That guy is an unbelievable goalkeeper. And if he's having that type of game that we've seen from him, not just once or twice, but like countless times, and he's standing on his head, keeping his team in it, that's why I can't completely count out Orlando, especially because they're hosting the game, especially because what's on the line. They're also falling into this. Maybe this is our best chance to win a trophy this season because it doesn't look like we're going to win MLS Cup because they've been a little uneven so far in that competition, 2/3 of the way through. But there's something about this Red Bulls team that I really like. Now, somebody did say in the comments, Red Bulls never win anything of consequence when it counts. They're kind of the nearly team. You played for the Red Bulls, Heath. Is that something that's talked about at the club that we've been? So I mean, there's been a supporter shield in there, trophy in there. I don't want to just
there's a couple supporter shields in there.
I get that,
but teams, but
yes, and teams that probably deserve more respect than they got. But it never led to an Open Cup trophy or an MLS Cup trophy.
Yeah, I mean, I remember playing in even CONCACAF Champions League against New York, and then putting out their C squad against us when I was playing with Montreal one year, and I just remember thinking like, wow, this is a complete lack of respect for this, and they were knocked out. And then when I think about the Supporter Shield, it is an unbelievable thing to go an entire season and finish top of points, top of the standings. But it's like anything. We talk about this a lot with the national team, right? Playing in a group stage, playing in a knockout round, playing in consequences is a different, especially domestically, because you're having to balance your rosters and who do you play? How do you save your team? You have your domestic campaign. There's a lot that goes into it. But they haven't been able to do that in MLS Cup. They haven't been able to do that with regard to this. This could be I think it's a big moment for the club to take serious. They're obviously in solid form in the league right now, and I think third in the Western Conference. But this could be another thing that they're one game away from a final, which is a huge it could be a propeller towards the end of their season and really make it something that goes from being like, if you go back to the beginning of the season when they were saying there were multiple players off of being a good team or being competitive to now being very competitive. They could be on their way to potential playoff run, but also, finishing the season with a trophy.